Good morning and welcome. It is so wonderful to be with you here this morning. My name is Sue Schoening. I am from the Soul Lighthouse. And every year we get together at the beginning of the year to see what is coming up in the year ahead. I always have this thing that if you know what's coming, the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you know what's coming, you can prepare for it because you're working with the energy as opposed to against it. So wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for joining me here today. And actually, why don't you just pop into the chat where you're from while we're waiting for people to come online and people to link in. Just let me know where it is that you're from so we can see who we've got here today. I am in Germany, so I am in the middle of the Bavarian countryside. This morning, Sunday, the 5th of January, it's a little bit nippy, I have to be honest. It's a little bit chilly. Winter has finally arrived. So let me know where you're from. Let's have a look and see where you're from. Well, we've got Germany here. We've got a lot of people from Germany. We've got South Africa. Thank you for joining. I see we've got Australia here. We've got New Zealand. Thank you. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining in with us. This is the second webinar that we're doing. We got together on Thursday. We're doing this again today because there are just so many different time zones around the world that it's important that we cover all of them. There is a lot of information that we're going to get through today. So I hope you've got a pen and paper handy. And I'm just going to dive in. There is an enormous amount of info that we have to get through today. So let's just go straight in. I'm going to move my face off the screen. If you're familiar with Zoom, what you can do, if you want to see me talking, you can click on my face. If you want to see the slides, you click on the slides. If you want to see both at the same time, just drag the size of my face around so you can see both at the same time. I'm just going to move my face off this big picture here and let's get going. We stand at the threshold of a brand new year. It's a brand new decade. How exciting is that? And this is our sneak preview into what is coming up for 2020. Now, 2017, 2018, 2019, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I think the best that can be said about this energy was, what the heck was that? To everybody that I've spoken to, the last 3 years have been very, very difficult. They've been good, but they've been tough. They've been hard work. They've been recalibrating. And that's actually the word that you need to hold on to. If you're kind of standing here a little bit bruised and a little bit battered, and a little bit shell-shocked of the pace of 2017, 18, and 19. The whole purpose of it was a recalibration. I don't think there is anybody who can turn around and say that there wasn't some shift during the last 3 years, whether it was a mindset, whether it was an emotional shift, whether it was moving house, moving job, or leaving a job and starting a business. There has been an enormous, enormous amount of shifting. I know some of you have actually moved countries. Some of you have left your jobs and you started a business. The whole point of the last 3 years, tough as it has been, was to recalibrate us. And you know, it's been like we've been on this escalator that's just been gathering and gathering and gathering speed, getting faster and faster and faster until we were holding on for dear life, saying, please stop it now. Well, here's some good news, and it's the first message for 2020, is the pace is going to slow down. The pace is that relentless escalation of so much to do and I've got to get it all done now because it's just getting faster and faster. That pace is beginning to slow down. Thank God. Thank God. We are in 2020 and just the sound of that. Doesn't it have just a glorious sound in your mouth? Doesn't it just sound terribly balanced? You know, we talk about 2020 vision. And what I did was I actually just typed in 2020 vision into the Google spacebar. And these are the words that came up: clarity, discernment, sharpness of vision, distinct, bright, transparency, decipherable, balanced. Now, I don't know about you, but after the chaos of the last couple of years that we've had, This is really, just the thought of these words is very, very comforting. To go into a space where the pace is slow enough that we can discern. The pace is slow enough that we do have clarity, we do have directness, we do have definition. We can create balance. So let's have a look and see what we're in for. Well, according to Chinese astrology, this is the year of the rat. Okay, according to numerology, this is a 4-year. And as you know, I work with Vedic astrology as well. And this is predicting a very powerful year of hard work, change, and transformation. And so as we look, as we go ahead, I'll confess right at the outset, I know nothing about Chinese astrology, but I looked up the year of the rat and I saw new beginnings, renewals, success, and good fortune. And I thought, hey, that's also a brilliant message, isn't it? To take into the beginning of this year. Renewal, success, prosperity, good fortune. It is a period of balance and new beginnings. So let's see what we're going to be talking about today. I've divided this into a couple of sections. I want to set the context of where we are and what's happening energy-wise so that you can understand the context. Then look at the numerology. And let's have a look and understand what's happening from a numerological perspective. What does this bring into it? Then let's dive into the Vedic astrology. Let's see what the Vedic astrology is. Is there a correlation? But then the most important part comes at the end, because what are we supposed to do with it? It's all very well and fine saying, oh, it's a 4-year, and oh, this is happening in Vedic astrology, or oh, this is what's happening here. We have to distill it down to what is it that we're going to do with it and what does it actually mean in our lives. So this is the most important part. So stay tuned until we get to the end, because we're going to be talking about how to apply it practically in our lives. But the context of where we are right now, the context, if you can understand this truth, that life is literally like this onion layer. Have you ever thought that you understand something at one level and then you go a little bit deeper and there's a deeper understanding, and you go a little bit deeper and there's more of an understanding? This is how you kind of want to think of this session today. It's peeling back that onion layer and seeing what there is. And this is what you have to imagine, is this is you. Apologies to the guys who are listening, but hey, I'm a girl, so my stick figures tend to be female. Okay, this is you. And this is the energy that you have, your unique energy, your unique vibration. And that doesn't change as we go through this year. This is your unique vibration. It's who you are. It is your blueprint. It is your energy field. And this is what we have. Okay, so this is you. But as we're going into this energy, you want to think of it like an ocean. And you are wading into this ocean with your energy field. And how wet you get, or how you swim, or what you're wearing depends on your energy field. But we're all wading into the same ocean. Does that make sense? So this is how you want to think of this, that what we're talking about today is the ocean that we're all going to be swimming in during 2020. But how each one of us swims is determined by our energy field. So this space that we are in, I want you to think of it as a bridge. And I remember way back in 2000 doing a talk and talking about this bridge that we were all on, the whole planet. We were on this bridge of transitioning to the divine feminine, and that it was a process that we were walking through from 2000 all the way through to 2022. And I remember when I was standing up there and I was doing this talk thinking, wow, 2022 is just so far away. It's like eons away. We've got so much time before we get there. And of course, you know, it was just the other day. 2000 was just the other day. And this whole energy that we are in right now, from 2000 to 2022, is transitioning to the feminine energy. And there have been a number of very powerful years within this period. And I want you, if you can think of that as a bridge, and that we got on it at 2000, and our first big date was 2002. And our second big date was 2012. Do you remember all the chaos and all the uproar that went with 2012? And we are now at that third date, which is 2020. And these are key years or key energies where we are going to feel this feminine energy, this very, very feminine energy. And of course, what it's taking us to is the sacred feminine, the divine feminine. But how does that show up? We need to understand what that feminine energy is so we can understand what it is we're being asked to embrace. It is not enough just to know masculine and feminine. We have to understand what is that feminine energy actually encapsulate. So you can see from that bridge, you can see that 2020 is a pivotal year, and it's taking us through to this period of 2022. So the first message that we have as we go into this year is this energy of the divine feminine. Now, it resonates with that energy of the two. Whenever you think of the two, you think of this energy of couples, don't you? You think of hearts, you think of falling in love, you think of entwined, you think of two together, you think of couples. That's what we think of when we think of this two energy. But it goes deeper than that, because it's not just about being entwined or being in pairs or falling in love, which is all very beautiful and wonderful. But that two energy is also about absolute support. It's this energy that says, I've got you, and I've got you strong. And I can't do that by myself. I do that together with other people. And so it is this energy of, let me hold on to you and let you hold on to me. And between us, we can create this energy of absolute support. So it carries this energy of unity. It carries this energy of pulling together, carries this energy of support. You know, a masculine energy is very much about direction, leadership, focus, getting out there, and whoever wins gets the most toys. A feminine energy is about collaboration, it's about unity, it's about working together, it's about supporting each other so that we all get over the finish line together. It's a very, very different energy. So this is an important thing to remember as we go through this year. It is this energy of nurture. When we talk about feminine, we're talking about nurture. We're talking about nourishment. We're talking about compassion and empathy. These are really, really big words, but they are energies that says, let me not just be compassionate and empathetic with no action attached. Feminine energy is very action oriented, but it comes from a perspective of understanding. It seeks first to understand and then to act. And it really is, it is the unfolding of that feminine energy. But we always think, when we talk about the feminine energy, so often we only focus on the positive, and we only focus on, you know, we're moving into the feminine energy and it's all sweetness and light, and isn't that fantastic? But we need to be aware that, like everything, there is a duality. Like everything, there is the shadow side of it. And the shadow of this feminine, if the power is unity and support, the shadow is separation and alienation. If the shadow is together, the shadow, if the power is together, the shadow of this is leave me alone and get away, and I'm doing it by myself. It's frayed edges. It is harsh communication. If the power of it is soothing communication that edifies and supports and builds up, The shadow of it is so harsh that we actually just have to close our ears from it because we can't hear it anymore, and we block ourselves from saying what needs to be said. The shadow is criticism. The power is unity and together. The shadow is criticism and sarcasm and judgment and blame. The energy of the divine feminine is to pull us all together into a social structure that is connected. So there is another word for you for the sacred feminine. It is connected. But the shadow of that would be alienation and standing apart. The shadow of that would be, yeah, okay, I had to bring it in, didn't I? Brexit. Okay. The feminine energy out of balance is addicted. Out of balance, it does destructive behavioral. We are in a space where we have to say we are in a space of understanding the shadow that this period has and cleave to the power of this, because the meaning of this energy is to be in our sacred space, to be that goddess energy. Now, the power of this too, you felt it. Each one of you here has felt it. The power of the two is absolute resilience. That energy of the two, the superpower of the two, is being absolutely resilient. It's absolutely supportive. It's able to withstand everything, anything that gets thrown at it. But we need to be very aware as we start off through this year that this energy of the two, it's throbbing through this year, and it's saying support, connect, be in a space of unity, not division. Be in a space where we're all together. Be in a space where we figure out how everybody in the team can get across the finish line at the same time, as opposed to I'm leaving you behind and whoever gets across the finish line is the winner. This is about bringing the attention back to everybody. We're all on this journey together, everybody. Every person who's on this planet, every animal that's on this planet, we're all in this journey together. And so this energy starts bringing that attention back. That is the context of where we're at. Okay, so let's now go into a little bit more detail. What about the numerology? Well, you can look at the numerology. In 2020, you can see it stands to reason, gives us a 2 + 2, gives us a 4. So what is the energy of this 4 that we're going into? And I want you to just be aware, because I'm going to be saying the same words over and over and over as we go through today. Just be aware as you keep hearing the same words, because these are the themes of the year. This is what is throbbing. So what kind of a 4 do we have? Well, 4 in numerology, balance, harmony. It's about laying down a foundation so that we can build a structure. It is about being so determined, but being very conscientious. It's about being aware of what needs to be done and then getting out and doing it. So it's got a very strong emphasis on the work and on the labor and on what gets produced. This is not a year for blue sky. You know, we're all charging off to the castle in the air. This is the year that says, what are we doing here and now? It's hard work. The 4 seeks to take things and put them into a routine. Why? Because if it's in a routine, then it's stable. If it's stable, then it's predictable. If it's predictable, then it's safe. It's durable. This is the energy of that 4, because its biggest mission is to bring things into balance. Now you can see already how that energy of the sacred feminine would flourish in an energy like this. It is working together, creating the foundation, building the structure, focusing on the work so that we have balance and we have harmony. It's a very hard-working energy. Our 4 is a very hard-working energy. So now we add in the power of that 2, because remember that 2 energy is the context of what it is that we've got as we go through this year. Well, that 2 energy We've just had a look at some of the shadows, but what are her powers? She's tactful, she's diplomatic, she's understanding, she's friendly, she is resilient, she's a survivor. No matter what gets thrown at her, she is a survivor. She hates conflict, she likes to keep the peace. She's forgiving, she's sensual, she's graceful, she's flexible, she's patient. So now add all of those words into that energy of the hard work, of the structure. And what do we have here is we have a structure that brings balance to everybody. We have a structure that is about focusing on what is good for everybody, not just me. It is an energy that says, let's keep the peace. Can we please avoid all these confrontations and this harshness? Can we please be in a space where we are forgiving and we're understanding? Very beautiful energies as we go through. And that image that I've got of the rose stuck into the snow is an image that I'd like you to remember as we go through this year, because that's the power of the sacred feminine. No matter what harsh energy she finds herself in, freezing cold snow, she will still find the space to be resilient and to flourish. And this is the image that I would like you to remember for this energy of the fall, is that no matter how harsh the terrain, no matter how difficult things are, the power of the fall is, okay, what do we need to do? Let's get going. It is the energy that says, no matter how tired I am, how exhausted I am, the fall is going to get up in the morning and do what needs to be done. No matter how hard I've worked, no matter how sore my muscles are, the fall will get up and it will do what needs to be done. Why? Because it needs to be done. So it's dependable and reliable. It seeks to find balance no matter what terrain it's in. Very, very powerful energies that we've got. So the power of this energy as we go through 2020 is this. It seeks that harmony, the structure. It's hardworking. You're going to hear that word over and over again. I'm really sorry if you were hoping I was going to tell you you're going to win the lottery and you can have 6 months on the beach somewhere. It ain't going to happen. This year is very, very hardworking, but it's hardworking to create that structure. It is this energy that says, let's get things done. Let's make sure things add up. Think of the typical balance sheet. It is this energy that says, let's make sure that what we're pouring out and what we're getting in actually balances up. I have a friend who's a bookkeeper, and I'm in awe of the work that she does because my head just doesn't work that way. And for her, she needs to know that she has balanced the books before she can get up and she can walk away. That's a typical example of 4 energy. Predictability means safety, but it's not boring. You know, so many people say, oh, falls are so boring. They're not boring. They are the salt of the earth. They are the essence of the earth. Why? Because they just keep doing what they need to do with patience, with calm, with tolerance, with forgiveness, with flexibility. Because we are adding in that energy of the 2, there is dignity, there's grace, there's a high moral compass. Now you're going to hear that coming up again as we go through. There is a high moral compass that is asking us to be honest. With self-control, there is a return to traditional values. Oh, please God, doesn't that sound good? There's a return to traditional values. It is supportive, it is inclusive. So these are very, very powerful energies that we've got. We just also need to be aware that sometimes there are pitfalls to this energy. So that 4, it can seek for balance, but some of the pitfalls is that it can get immensely stubborn. It can get very rigid, and it can get stuck in the way that says it's got to be done this way, it's only this way, it can't be any other way. So it can get to a space where it's intolerant, and that makes it closed-minded. And that makes it narrow-minded. So that is the pitfall of this energy. We have to keep asking ourselves, what brings us into balance, to make sure that I'm not just seeing this in a very narrow, very closed-minded space. You know, those people who say it's got to be done this way, and they just can't see of any other possibility of how it could possibly work. The shadow of the two can make this manipulative, devious, dishonest. Sometimes this gets so stuck in the detail that the big picture kind of gets ignored. You know, there are some years that I turn around to you and say, focus on the big picture. And there's some years I turn around to you and I say, focus on the detail. And this year I'm saying to you, we've got to do the detail. We really have to do the detail, but don't for 1 minute forget the big picture. Don't forget where it is that we're actually going to. And that energy of this 4, because it can get so stubborn, it can get very, very controlling. Another word you're going to hear a bit later on. There's only my way, and it gets controlling, and sometimes it likes to suck any possibility out of it other than the way I've said it. Okay, so these are things that we need to be very aware of, and we need to be aware of our propensity for one or the other, because each one of us, remember I said each one of us has our own energy field. So you will either naturally incline towards balance and harmony and trying to create the peace and avoid conflict, or you will naturally incline towards being as stubborn as all hell and being more and more rigid. And be honest with yourself, be very aware of yourselves. Are you more likely to be manipulative to get what it is you want, or are you more likely to be supportive and inclusive? Because if you can recognize your shadow, now you're starting to cook with gas, because now you know what it is that you need to do, and you need to, of what it is you need to be aware of, because now you're applying conscious thought to this. Does that make sense? So in its absolute shadow, the pitfall of this energy is cruel. It's mean, it's divisive. And so we have to be in that space that says, am I pushing towards separation, or am I pushing towards support? Am I pushing towards breaking down? Am I pushing towards harmony? Keep these thoughts in your mind with whatever project it is, with whatever relationship it is, with whatever it is that you are involved with as you go through this year. Okay, so now let's start looking at astrology. And this is where I love it, because it starts to tie together. That energy of the 4 resonates with Saturn, with Mercury, and with Uranus. Okay, so when we're talking about 4 in numerology, and we want to start correlating it now to astrology, we want to see what that 4 significates. And it dances very, very much with Saturn, Mercury, and Uranus. Now, in Vedic astrology, we don't work with Uranus. We focus on Saturn and Mercury. So let's dive in and let's have a look at the Vedic astrology. This is a snapshot of where we are on the 5th of January right now. And this is where we are, and I want you to just to see, bearing in mind that we work with Vedic astrology. This is not Western astrology. I know that we might have a few of you who are followers of Western astrology. So there is a significant difference between Vedic and Western. So let's just have a look and see what's happening right now in accordance to Vedic astrology. I want you to see where my mouse is. If you can see my mouse, we've got Mercury here sitting right on top of Jupiter. We've got Saturn here sitting right on top of Pluto. We've got Venus here, and we've got the Sun sitting here. Okay, so this energy here is Sagittarius. And I want you to see that we've got Jupiter sitting very, very nicely in his own house in Sagittarius. He enters into Capricorn as we go into January, but right now he is in Sagittarius. He's very nicely sitting in his own sign, and he's actually dancing very, very nicely with Mercury. What we've also got here is we have got Capricorn, and we've got Saturn that is now sitting in his own sign in Capricorn. So this is where we are right now. What does that mean? Okay, it means that the energy is beginning to shift because Saturn is in his own sign. I want you to think of it as a house, and it's a house that Saturn owns. And Saturn has moved back into his own home, and he's going to be there for the next 5 years. He is going to spend the next 2.5 years roughly in Capricorn, and then he goes into the next sign, which is Aquarius, which he also owns. And so he is going to be running the show for the next 5 years. It's hugely, hugely significant that Saturn is in this space where he is holding so much of the power and running so much of the energy this year. Jupiter transits into Capricorn, and he's in Sagittarius at the moment, but he transits into Capricorn during 2020. Now, Saturn and Jupiter get on, but they don't really get on when Jupiter is sitting in Saturn's house. So we're going to have a look at that. And then we have Mars that also decides to come in and move into Saturn's house, move into Capricorn in March. And this is also a very powerful energy. Saturn starts to slow things down. This escalating of like, let's get everything in and let's get everything done and let's do it all now. That energy starts to slow down. Thank God. Thank God, because it just gets like really, really hectic. So during 2020, Saturn moves into Capricorn, and it puts hard work, tradition, and social structure back in focus. Now, where did we hear social structure? Oh yeah, right there in the beginning when we were talking about the context, we were talking about the divine feminine, and we were talking about the social structure coming in. Where did we hear about hard work? Oh yeah, right, when we were talking about numerology, and we were seeing that the energy of this 4 is about hard work and tradition. Now, a lot of people get very, very scared when we talk about Saturn because they see Saturn as this planet of obstacles, and it brings grief and it delivers your karma, and like it's just this terrible, miserable planet that really, really frightens a lot of people. But when you start looking at the power of what Saturn is about, it's about hard work. It's about let's get back to tradition. Let's get back to social structure. Saturn really wants us to get to a space where we go within, where we kind of pull away from the madness and the chaos and the loudness of the world. And it says, come back to you. Saturn is this energy that says, how's your relationship with you going? So often we are in a space of massive seduction, like this shiny penny and that shiny penny and that shiny penny over there. And everything is like supposed to be the holy grail, and we're going to get enlightenment over there, and we're going to get happiness here, and we're going to get joy here, and millions of euros here. Saturn comes back and says, can we just forget all of that for a minute? Can we forget all of that a minute? And can we just go back to who you are and what you are? And this is such a powerful, powerful energy, because if we can all get back into that space of having that relationship with ourselves, it is allowing us then to move into a space where we can come back and we can connect with society. This 5-year transit has the strength to slow things down from this chaotic running around, trying to have more and more and more, getting back to honest values, getting back to what is right, getting back to the social fabric, getting back to unity as opposed to division. And this is why so many astrologers and Jyotishis are saying 2020 is such an important year. It's an important year because it puts us back on a space that says, what the hell are we doing this? And what are we doing this for? It is an energy that says, if I get to the finishing line and everybody else is destroyed behind me, what was the point? And you can see this emerging when it comes to like the rainforests or Australia burning, or when we're in a space of looking after our planet and destroying our wildlife, or dealing with our trash and drowning in plastic in the seas near Bali, where people are turning around and saying, what the hell are we doing? There's got to be a different way. And as we go through this 5-year period, it puts this back in focus. And I have to tell you, I am so ready for this. I know you are. You wouldn't be listening to this otherwise. We're all so ready for this. This is this energy that says, come on, let's get things back to the way they should. Let's get back to real values. Saturn is a servant. You need to think of Saturn not as the grief bringer and not as, oh, it's just going to screw up your plans for the next 5 years, which I know some astrologers are saying. You need to think that Saturn says, let's go into service. But before you can go into service, Saturn says, go within and find out what you have inside of you that you can put into service. Saturn is this energy that says, remember your purpose. Remember what it is that you wanted to connect to. Let's connect with that. And it has to do it alone. So it is an energy that prefers to do this introspectively. It prefers to do it alone. If we look at Jupiter, Jupiter is the teacher. Jupiter is the guru. Jupiter is generous. It's expansive. It is bring it all on. Let's have it all. And so now we've got this energy where Jupiter has been running the show for such a long time. Now we've got Saturn saying, can we just get into a space of service? Saturn is the divine servant. Saturn is the divine servant. Jupiter is the divine teacher. It is the divine guru. These two energies together, going through Capricorn together, you've got to believe it brings us back to what is it that we know. It's a period of learning. It's a period of getting into touch with our own wisdom. It's a period of going within so that we can pour it out into service. You can see how that would work. And then Mars moves in, and Mars's energies is all about law and order, and let's do it, and let's make it happen, and let's, do it now, and this is the direction, and this is how it needs to be done. So here's what you need to know, is that Saturn and Jupiter, they get on, but they don't really like living in the same house. And so Jupiter is moving into Saturn's house. And so Jupiter's natural exuberant energy goes into this space of going through the blanket of service. I'm going to say that again. This wisdom that is Jupiter goes now through the blanket of how do I put that into service? It's a very important thing that we need to ask ourselves, is not how do I make money, not how do I get this, not how do I get the most toys, not how do I get the most followers. How do I serve? Who am I serving? What am I serving? How do I serve? What am I here to serve? If I step into that energy of the divine servant, this period, this 5-year period, will be your most beautiful. Mars respects Jupiter. So now imagine it's Saturn's house, but Mars doesn't really have a good relationship with Saturn. It opposes Saturn, but it respects Jupiter. And so we've got this very, very interesting dynamic between these three energies that's going on. And here's what we can expect. And this is what you need to imagine it like. I want you to imagine that that's you. Okay, for the men here today, I drew a male stick figure. Saturn is the in-breath. Saturn is the in-breath. It says breathe in. Jupiter is the out-breath. I breathe in and I sit with what it is that I breathe in. That's Saturn. Jupiter says, let's move it and let's do something with it and let's go into action. That's the out-breath. And so Jupiter's energy, that Sagittarian action energy of expansion, now meets this energy, this Capricorn energy of introspection. Okay. Capricorn is hardworking. It's persistent, it's reliable. Gosh, where have we heard these words before? It's disciplined, it's practical. It gets up early and it does the work. It's earthy, it's stubborn. It can be as stubborn as all hell. It is resourceful, it is conservative, it is traditional. Again, echo of those words that we've heard previously in this webinar. And then I'm not going to spend too much time on it now, but we have a Rahu Ketu transit that happens in September 2020, which is going to shake things up quite dramatically, because this particular Rahu transit is about changing social structures. It is about recalibrating the value that we put behind money, you know, as opposed to I've got to have it all, but the value that we put behind money. Harnessing of resources as opposed to raping resources and pillaging the resources and depleting our resources and challenging the authority paradigm. So this Rahu Ketu transit that we have as we move towards September is really going to shake things up. It's really going to be quite powerful. But I will do a specific energy webinar as we get closer to that time, so we know what to hold on to. So how does this translate practically? It's all very well and fine having all of this information, you know, Saturn and Mars and Jupiter, and it's a 4 and it's the year of the rat and all. How does this all translate practically? Well, this is the blanket. It's realistic, it's practical, it's hard work, it's follow through, it's detail oriented, it's hard work, it's slow and steady progress. For those of us who want to make $1 million by the end of January, rethink that plan. Okay, it is slow and steady progress. It's slow and steady returns. It is this energy that says, let's show up and show up diligently and show up repeatedly and show up consistently, slow and steady progress. So this is this blanket that we need to be aware. But let's go deeper and let's be a little bit more specific. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on the time as well, because as you all know, I'm famous for going over time. How does this translate practically? Okay. First and foremost, let's talk about spirituality. Let's talk about our consciousness, and let's talk about what this energy is about from a conscious connection, from a spiritual connection. And this is not to say one belief over another, but just for a minute, think of what it is that you do believe in. And whether you call it God or source or spirit or the great architect or the universe or energy or force or whatever it is that you believe is tying us all together. This year, as we go through, is an energy of surrender and service. And surrender to a point that says we each are here for a purpose, a big purpose and a little purpose. And sometimes our purpose might be climbing to the highest mountain and holding up a banner and saying, here, I did it. But more often, our purpose is the little things. It's the purpose of looking after our kids, or the purpose of making sure that your partner is supported, or the purpose of being in a space where you are looking after the client who's with you right now. Not the tens of thousands of clients you want to create, but the client who's found his way to you right now. It's about being in a space of surrendering to the big and the little purpose. And then it's also being in a space that says, I'm ready to serve. Now, these are very, very big words. They're huge words. Surrender, I remember speaking with a teacher, and he turned around and he said, because I said, I'm really struggling with this thing of surrender. And he says, you need to understand, surrender is not one thing you do once in a lifetime. Surrender is something that you do over and over and over again. And if you have to do it minute by minute, if you have to do it breath by breath, but surrender into this, that you are here for a purpose. Each one of us has a divine purpose. And this 5-year period is where we surrender and we say, that purpose, I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to serve. Because Saturn's message is go within. That in-breath with humility. It reminds us that the doorway to the divine is entered on our knees. Now, I don't mean debasing yourself, but I do mean in surrender. I don't mean in making yourself nothing, but I do mean in reverence and awe of being part of this. The gateway to the divine is entered by surrender. And this energy is about saying, go within, connect within, and then connect with something greater, whatever that greater is for you. It promises to be a year, this 5-year period, in fact, of immense growth as we start to understand, who am I? Who am I? So that now I can bring this gift of understanding to the world. And here's the power of this. When we are all in a space where we are self-referral and we become aware of who we are, then we start working together. Then society starts working together. Then things start supporting. Then things fall into harmony. Very, very beautiful energy. How does it translate practically? This is just as important. Self-care is a must. And for all of you out there who are my workhorses, if you've done my Vedic archetypes course, then you know if you're a workhorse. This tendency of this year is to make us work and keep on working. And so the drawback of a year like this is that we just put our head down and we just work and work and work and work and work and work and work. And I know that I have that danger. I know that I have the danger of getting up, having breakfast, sitting down at my desk, plowing through, getting up, having supper and going to bed, and then getting up the next day and doing it all over again. And this energy is about saying, remember that everything has to be in balance. It's not just the work. Everything needs to come into balance. So the health and the self-care and the meditation and the spirituality and the family and your time with your relationships and all of these things, we need to put our self-care on the agenda. It's huge. From a physical perspective, please, if you've got any of these issues, just pay attention to it. Whether it's depression or despair, whether you've got autoimmune, like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia or any of these chronic diseases, bones, joints, cartilage, if you suffer from any of those, then this is for you, self-care. Stop waiting for somebody else to do it self-care. You are the priority here, because the danger of this year is that because we end up working so bloody hard on this or this or this that we neglect ourselves. And if we neglect ourselves and we're prone to any of those that are on the screen right now, then it backfires. So, and we can't afford that. We just can't afford that. So don't neglect the health. Take responsibility, mind, body, spirit. A friend of mine, her mother's 93, bless her. She just started Tai Chi. Now that for me is bloody brilliant, you know, that at 93, she's saying, I still need to keep supple and I still need to keep moving. And what can I do to look after my bones and joints? Let me do Tai Chi. This is the energy, because Saturn is a long term. Saturn is a longevity. Saturn is years and years. We need to sit there and ask ourselves, what do I want in 10 years' time? What do I want from my body and my health in 20 years' time? My husband and I had exactly this conversation the other day. I'm 55 years old. And we actually sat there and we said, you know, if we still want to be able to go on hikes in the mountains at 75, we've got to pay attention now. Not at 74, when the joints have gone and the bones are frail. We've got to pay attention now. Because what we do now, because of the energy of Saturn, has a long-reaching effect. Okay, so somewhere in your planning over the next couple of days is, what do you want to be at the end of the year? What do you want to be in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time? Like us, where do I want to be at 75? I still want to be able to walk up a mountain at 75. Maybe a bit slower than the way I do it now, but I still want to be able to do it. I still want to go on a hike. So I need to pay attention now. How does this translate practically? So here's the thing. It is time for us to knuckle down and get things done. Every year, people will turn around and say to you, what's the goal and what's the intention and what are you going to do here? And Saturn comes and he reminds you that, yeah, the intention's great. And yeah, the goal is great. But what's the most important thing here is, what's the plan? Because I can have a goal that says, I'm going to, I don't know, buy a building. And I'm going to move the offices into the building, and that can be my goal. But if I've got no plan, the likelihood of it happening is not going to work too well. Some years are all about, you know, intend it and you manifest it. Now, this is an energy that says, yes, hold that intention. Yes, hold that goal, but you are the manifestation of it. You are the manifestation of it. We've got to be in a space where we stop waiting for the universe to miraculously give us the 3 million euros so that we can do it. You are the manifestation of your own goal and your own intention. So this whole thing says, knuckle down, get things done. Because it is all about commitment. It's all about work the plan the work, act the plan the action. You know what I mean. It's all about durability. So this is a year of very hard work. Be clear of the plan, I say it there. Realistic focus. Now, I was speaking to somebody the other day and he said, I'm not getting to the goal. I'm just not getting to the goal. Well, what's the goal? Well, the goal in this particular instance was so far over, like 10 mountain ranges to get there. Bring it down. It's the same thing, you know, getting on the scale this morning and going, oh my God, I need to lose so much weight. I'm not going to say how much weight I need to lose, but if I focus on just 3 kilos, let me focus on 3 kilos. It's far more easy to focus on 3 kilos than 30 kilos. I don't need to lose 30 kilos, but still. Okay, but you get the picture. We need to bring it back. Stop planning on what's on the other side of the mountain range. And let's get to what we've got here. Realistic focus, realistic action, realistic delivery. Okay, so that's what we've got from a business perspective here. And here is really, really important. And we're going to see this coming as we go through this next 5 years. On a business level, you know how you got these guys who turn around and say, follow me and I'll make you rich, but they have no money themselves. Or you have these people say, follow me and I'll get you enlightened, but they don't walk the talk themselves. This is a year that exposes those gurus with feet of clay. Those people who are all hot air and no action. This year is going to actually start weeding them out. And those people who are walking the talk and doing and stepping into service and in authenticity and integrity, those people we're going to see them rising. But those people who say, follow me and I'll make you rich, but you know that they're completely broke, those people are going to actually start being weeded out. So we're going to see exposure on the business side specifically of people with feet of clay. In a period that we've just been in, it's opportunistic and everybody has the answers. And of course, we're all so hungry for the answers that we all just believe, because we have to go within and we have to take our own counsel. These gurus with feet of clay, we're going to start seeing shattering by the wayside. If you're working a job, my advice to you here, yes, there's hard work, but don't forget to get out and talk to people and connect with people and meet with people and, you know, all of these things, because the tendency is just to pick up the pen and just like head down and do the work. Just remember that that is only part of the job. It's not just about the output. It's about the interconnection. It's about the support. It's about working together. It's about how can we all rise? How can we all rise in this energy? How does this translate practically in terms of money? I wish I could turn around and tell you this is the year we're all going to win the lottery, but the reverse is true. This is a year that says there's money to be made, but we've got to work for it. There's money to be made, but we've got to be responsible and diligent. This is not a year that says get out there and, you know, buy the boat and, you know, go on the cruise around the world and be frivolous with your money. This is an energy that says work with your money, work sensibly, be sensible with your money, be in a space where you value the time that you've put in to earn your money. So value the money when it comes in. Be in a space where you are aware of the hard work that's gone into it. So allow your money to work hard for you. Hard work is the name of the game. So here's the thing that you need to know, that in any kind of get rich quick scheme, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If it sounds like it's unbelievable returns, the word is probably unbelievable. If it sounds like it's just out of this world, you got to ask yourself, what do you need to do to make it in this world? Because this is not a year of a fast buck. This is a year of slow and steady gain. And so it doesn't say don't invest. It says be aware, be circumspect. Don't lose your shirt by thinking if I invest in this and I'm going to triple my investment, or I'm going to like have so much money pouring in. This is an energy that says be circumspect with your money. Don't lose your shirt on a false guru or a false plan that sounds too good to be true. Now, here's the thing that we can also expect, and we're beginning to see it now. There is a recalibration coming in terms of the value of money. Over the last couple of years, the energy of the 1%ers, we're all aware of the 1%ers. You know, these people who've got all this money, they've got 99% of the world's wealth and they just sit on it and they hoard it. Over the next 5 years, that's going to be recalibrated. And we're going to see that there is a recalibration coming in terms of money. government restrictions and interventions on savings and money movements. Be aware that as the power comes to people taking more responsibility for themselves, more responsibility for their money, the danger is that government starts to squeeze. And government starts to put in restrictions. So if you've got masses and masses of Bitcoin investments, be careful that the governments don't just come in and start squeezing that. Be very aware of your investments. Exercise caution. That's the name of the game. Be sensible when it comes to your money and your money investments. Yeah. How does this translate practically? On a social level. So here's what's interesting, and it's very interesting, is this energy here is about people becoming more aware of what is supportive and more aware of what is pillaging and what is raping. And if you look over the last however many decades, we're in a space where we plunder the resources of this planet. And what is happening, and we're seeing it, and over the next 5 years, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, where people start turning around and saying, enough, enough, that you cannot have this happening, that we actually have to come back to a space where our governments are elected by us and they are not telling us what to do. We are the ones who are responsible for putting our government in place. This is an energy that says that the people start pulling together and creating this unity of how we can live in more harmony on this planet, in terms of factory farming, in terms of sustainable living, in terms of plundering our natural resources. This is this energy that says, and forgive me, I'm going to quote here, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? And this is the energy that we're going to start seeing coming through over the next 5 years as people start standing up and saying, no, just look at climate change. That whether you believe in it or whether you don't believe in it, but a little 16-year-old stood up and said, enough. And half the world stood up and said, yes, enough. We're going to see more and more of that. Just look at what is happening in Australia. And half the world is saying there's no climate change problem. And half the world is saying, but it's happening. We're going to see more and more of people coming together and saying enough. And this phrase is in my head. It really is for the last couple of days. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? So this is what we're setting in stage over the next couple of years. And it's inspiring. It really is inspiring. Everybody always asks me, what about relationships? Is my relationship going to make it, or am I going to break up this year? So what happens in terms of relationships? Saturn, remember, it says, first have that relationship with yourself. First be in that space where you know who you are. First forge that relationship with yourself, because we so often lose ourselves in a relationship and we lose sight of who we are. And this is an energy that says, come back to who you are and have your relationship first with you. This is also an energy that says, remember, relationships, like everything else, need self-care. Relationships, like everything else, needs work. It needs structure. It needs safety. It needs predictability. So this is not a year that says, yeah, you're going to make up, or yeah, you're going to break up. But this is an energy that says, come back to you, have that relationship first with you, and do the work. Here's what I do know. If we don't do the work on our relationship, it's not going to work. Do the work on you, do the work on the relationship, and you create a groundwork and a foundation and a structure where your relationships can flourish. Okay. Coming to the end, what this means is it's a year of consistent hard work. I said to you, keep an ear out for those words that I'm going to use over and over again. Focused attention, focused action, focused results. It's consistent hard work. Get up, fix the plan, do the plan, make the plan, work the plan. Be aware as we come to the end here, be aware. We have to keep asking ourselves, what is the point of balance and harmony? What is the point that balances me or this endeavor or my family or my relationship? What is the point of balance? Pay attention to your foundations, whether they are family, whether they're business, whether they're a relationship, and please, please, please stay away from high risk encounters. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Take your own counsel. Don't let somebody come and sweep you away on a tsunami of excitement because this is going to be the sure thing. Make sure you've got your surfboard before you ride somebody else's tsunami. Self-care is an absolute must. And here's the thing, is show up, do the work, commit and follow through. Commit and follow through. That's what this thing is. Do the work, show up, stand up, consistent, commit and follow through. It is a glorious, powerful energy that we've got here. It's a hardworking energy. But you know what? The fact that you're here on a Sunday morning tells me you're not afraid of hard work. Tells me that you're ready to do whatever it is to make this year. And what I do know is that by working together, we can change the landscape. Not just in our little homes, not just in our relationships, not just in our little endeavors, but by working together, we can change the landscape. And that's the power of this year. So before we go, because I can talk about this forever, as you know, I want to just mention a few things here before we go. Now, I spoke at the beginning that each one of us have our own unique energy. And if you want to find out what 2020 is for you, with your unique energy, how you are going to swim in this ocean that we've just described, get hold of me and let's set up a session and let's see how you can leverage this year and what it stands for, what it brings, what to avoid, what to work with, what is the power, what are the pitfalls of this year. It's a very, very powerful reading and you should do it at least at the beginning of every single year. So if you're ready, get hold of me and we can set up a session. And friends, if you're listening, can I ask you to put in the link here now where people, if they want to book their session, that they can. I am getting a message here that I can see. How do I find my purpose? How is it that I can find my purpose? Well, one of the most beautiful things that we can see of your Vedic chart is we can see what your purpose is. And we can see how you put it into action, and we can see when your purpose needs to activate. And so if you're in a space where you're saying, I want to serve, but I actually don't know where, how, what it is, then this next thing is for you. The Sacred Conversation series is a very, very powerful series. There are 7 modules and we talk from finding out you, your sacred archetypes. We look at what holds you back, your sabotages, what is your relationship dance. We look at healing, we look at setting up a divine business, we look at going into your divine purpose. And it's a series of conversations that we have that are just, they're exquisitely designed to take you deep into your space of personal power. So if you would like more than a reading and you'd like to actually be in a space where you say, I need to unlock what it is that I have, then you need to have a look at our Sacred Conversations. And France, if I can ask you right now, if you can put in the link for the Sacred Conversation series. And if this appeals to you, then get hold of me and let's actually do the Sacred Conversations. But last thing, before you go, very last thing before you go. I've been hard at work. Okay, it's a hard-working year, of course, and this is what I do. And I have got a special offer for you. And we start on the 20th of January, which is a glorious date, 20 January 2020. Have you ever been in a space where you want to learn how to read the aura? This energy field that everybody has around them. What does it mean? How do you work with it? How do you understand it? What is it all about? And I've written an ebook and I've created a course, and we are going to teach you how to learn to read the aura. What do the different colors mean? What is it all about? How can I discern? How can I work with the aura? And what does it mean for me working with my energy field, maximizing my energy field? I'm so excited about this course. So if you'd like to join us, we've got lots more spaces. The more the merrier. 20th of January is our kickoff, and you can join us there on learning how to read the aura. And then you will get this ebook and the information and the videos and meditations and working together and all such wonderful stuff. So France, I'm going to ask you if you can put in the link to the course there now. Okay, so there you have it. That's what this energy is all about. Now, how it dances with your specific energy, get hold of me. Let's have a look and see what you can expect specifically in your space for 2020. But this is what we can expect. In closing, this year invites us to step into a higher awareness. It's a beautiful, glorious space, higher awareness. Go up, go within, touch the hands of the divine. Expect moments of deep clarity, moments of inner awareness, and hard, consistent, reliable, responsible work. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found this valuable. I hope you can take some of the information that we've used today. In closing, the phrase that you use, that you take with you into the rest of this year, does this bring me closer to my point of balance? How does this balance? What is the harmony here? How does this support? How does this create a structure here? Keep coming back to what is the point of balance in this situation. And every time you ask that question, just allow yourself to go within. What is the point of balance and harmony here? It is the mantra that you hold on to as we go through 2020. What is the point of balance? So there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been my absolute pleasure to spend time with you today. I could talk until the cows come home, and I already have. I've gone over time as always. Have a blessed Sunday, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Lots of love, and bye for now.